I was almost done with my deliveries for the night at the pizzeria. My boss, Mike, was working with me. He told me to take one last delivery, a couple of regular pizzas. He gave me a paper with the address and phone number. This happened a couple years ago. I didn't have a fancy phone with, just a basic flip phone. I also didn't have a GPS for my car. So, I had to rely on an old-fashioned map book to find my way around. The street where I had to deliver the pizzas was a weird road. I can't recall the house number or the name on the order, but I remember it was really tough to find. It was in a rural town with lots of woods and farmland and hardly any streetlights. I had to stop a few times, turn on the interior lights, and check the map again. It was quite stressful trying to find the house on such a dark and confusing road. When I decided to call the number my boss gave me, the phone rang a lot before someone answered. They didn't say hello at first, so I did. Then I heard a deep, soft voice. I told them I was the pizza delivery person and needed help finding their place. The person on the phone explained that their driveway was hard to see and looked like a dirt trail. Tricky to spot. After driving carefully for about 15 seconds, I saw a small one-story house with a faint glow in one of the windows. I parked next to an old pickup truck and carried the pizzas to the front door. I couldn't find a doorbell, so I knocked instead. I heard quiet music from the house. Then I heard someone walking towards the door, and after about few seconds, the door opened a little bit, and I saw part of someone's face. I could only see one eye looking at me. I nervously asked, "Did you order the pizza?" The person replied, "Yes, I did." I remembered their voice from the phone call earlier. There was a strange pause. I didn't know what else to say except, "Do you have the money?" They said yes and went to get it. I heard them walk to another room. Then the door started opening slowly by itself, showing more of the dimly lit room inside. Everything in there looked really old. There were metal pieces on the floor, covering holes maybe. The furniture, like the couch, seemed ancient. The music was playing from an old record player with a big horn on top. That's all I could see at first from peeking inside, but what was really strange was the smell. It smelled really bad, like something had died in there. I waited politely for the man to return with the money he owed me, but when he took a long time, I got worried. So, I knocked on the open door and called out, "Hello?" He replied from another room, asking me to come into the kitchen. My colleagues always warned me not to enter someone's house unless necessary, and this seemed like one of those times to be cautious. Despite this, I asked him to repeat his request. He did, so I reluctantly went inside. As I walked in, I noticed the floor was a bit creaky and old. The layout of the house was straightforward, with the kitchen on the right side and a narrow hallway on the left. At the end of the hallway, there was a strange sight. The man, with his back to me, dancing in a really eerie way. It wasn't a confident dance. He seemed to be touching his own body as he moved, which made me feel uncomfortable. Normally, I would have found it funny, but in that moment, I was just worried about what kind of place I had entered. I looked away from the living room and towards the kitchen while holding 2 pizza boxes. When I moved closer to the kitchen, I saw someone peeking from behind the wall. It was the same man as before, only showing a small part of his face and one eye. I felt puzzled and wondered if I should leave. I asked him again if he had the money for the pizza. Instead of answering, he started to laugh strangely, a deep and soft laugh. Then he suddenly called out loudly using a commanding tone. I felt uneasy and decided to leave. As I walked towards the front door, I saw the person who was dancing earlier now just standing in the hallway, watching me. I went out the front door and shut it behind me. I rushed back to the car, still holding the pizzas for some reason. I put the pizza boxes on the passenger seat and got back in the car quickly. As I backed up to clear the pickup truck next to me for a 3-point turn, I glanced back at the house and saw the door was wide open again. My heart raced at the thought that someone might be outside my car. trying to open a door. I wasn't sure if they were or not, but I managed to drive down the dirt driveway and onto the road. I had to go back to the pizza place. I called Mike to tell him what happened. He wasn't upset with me. When I got back, everyone had already left after hearing my story. It might sound funny when I tell it now, but it wasn't funny at the time. Whatever was happening in that house wasn't normal, and I don't think they wanted pizza. I started having dreams where I saw that man's face peeking around a corner. After that, I decided not to go inside anyone's houses or apartments when making deliveries.